So, welcome to all of you. Thanks for connecting to this launch event of the CELTIC-NEXT Autumn Call 2025. I am Xavier Priem. I'm the director of the CELTIC-NEXT Office, managing those competitions and the work after the competition. You will see why I say that in the slides that I will explain you. We have two main parts today. One is the introduction to CELTIC-NEXT and its SRIA and the competition. And the second part is about how to make a very good proposal, what we are expecting as quality criteria, and putting all the chances on your side to win the label, which will then open more easily national funding in the different countries of your consortium. Okay. So, I will start with an introduction to CELTIC-NEXT. CELTIC-NEXT is a Eureka ICT cluster for secure, trusted, and sustainable digital society. We have been operating for already 22 years. Within Eureka, what is Eureka? Maybe as an introduction, because it's important to locate us in the global picture. So Eureka is the world's biggest public network of countries, so over 46 countries now that include not only Europe, nearly all countries in Europe, but also Brazil, Canada, Chile, Israel, Singapore, South Africa, and South Korea. There are new other candidates that come nearly every year into the list of the nations connected to this network. And the purpose of Eureka is to enable international R&D and I, so research, development, and innovation collaboration through those countries to tackle global challenges and increase competitiveness of the participants and the countries. It's a transnational network facilitating the coordination of national priorities in innovation and providing access to national funding. So if you want more information about Eureka itself, please, the presentation will be available to you as a download in PDF format, and you can click on the link, or you can copy the link from what you see on the screen. Maybe something why Eureka says that it's the largest and most successful network of nations in the world. It's because since 85, so 1985, 40 years this year, Eureka has been able to generate public-private investment at the level of more than 48.4 billion euro altogether. There have been more than 7,000 R&D and I projects run under the flag of Eureka, and 35,000 plus organizations have been supported. When we say organization, it is industry, large industry, SMEs, research type organizations, academia, and even some public bodies that are participating to joint projects with industry. Eureka has several programs based in two groups, in fact. You have the first group of programs, Eurostars, Inno-Wide, Investment Readiness, and Fast Track, that are joint programs together with the European Commission. It's co-funded by the European Commission. They are addressing different matters as written here. I won't go into details here, but all the information is available on the Eureka website, and you can contact the different responsible persons for those programs at Eureka. They are really looking at SMEs as a main topic for those ones, that are shown in this first group, and that's a very good, let's say, program there, with projects that are of small to, let's say, a little bit larger than small consortia, and then you have the second group of programs within Eureka who are not, let's say, co-funded and co-organized with the European Commission. They are totally Eureka only programs. You have the clusters to which we belong. You have the network projects that are calls that are organized between the countries directly, and you have the global stars, which is organizing kind of calls between one country of Eureka network and non-Eureka country or countries in order to have a first contact and possibly then invite those countries into the network. So that's all for the programs. Just to give you an idea, this is something that is an information available on the Eureka website that you can just go and check. I've copied it here because that's to show the importance also of the clusters program, because we have 5 clusters, and all what you see in orange on these diagrams, it's based on 2015-2024, so 9 years, 10 years of projects. You see the importance of the clusters within Eureka. We don't make too many projects because we are doing middle-sized projects. I will come back to that. Therefore, the number of projects is not very high, but the overall volume of co-funded projects is important. Clusters. So I said we are 5 clusters. I don't have a detailed slide about each cluster, but we are industry-led communities consisting of leading companies, knowledge institutes, and user organizations. We have our strategic technology areas. We are market-oriented, aiming to solve economic, technological, and societal challenges, and we are looking at large mid-sized projects, where the other programs from Eureka are looking at small to small mid-sized. We are looking at large mid-sized projects. We have 5 clusters. So CELTIC is about ICT in general, and with a strong focus also on communications. You have then ITEA looking at software and then the foundations for software, SMART in smart manufacturing, Eurogia 2030 looking at decarbonization and energy solutions, and finally XECS, which is looking at microelectronics and systems in microelectronics. So CELTIC-NEXT is the world industry-driven, so Eureka cluster program, ICT, not-for-profit cluster, sorry for the long title, involving all major ICTs, industry players, service providers, many SMEs, you will see that as well, research institution and academia joining efforts together to enable a secure, trusted, and sustainable digital society. That's our motto. CELTIC was launched in 2003. In the meantime, there were CELTIC, CELTIC Plus, and now CELTIC-NEXT. But overall, we have been active 22 years long. We just got renewed with an authorization to operate under the Eureka flag and the program ECP in June this year, so for the next 7 years. Where do we position ourselves in the global RD&I funding landscape? So as you can see on this slide, on the right side, you have the national programs. Those ones are there to develop and maintain critical mass and differentiation in the different nations or countries considered. If you look at 6G, you see here 6G Bridge from Finland, 6G Future Network Services from Netherlands, 6G Flagship in Sweden, and then you see the 6G platform in Germany and so on. So there are national initiatives, and the different countries organize national calls and fund national-only projects, but also international one. I will come back to that. On the left-hand side, you see the European Community programs that are top-down program following European strategy, which is co-defined, of course, between the states, but it is centralized and it is top-down. So that means that the responsible director so for example, DG Connect, if we look at communications in the Commission, works together with the industry, and they define a top-down roadmap with a time scale, and usually it's lower TRL, and it has to be one project in this topic or 2 projects in this topic, which leads to, at the end in the competitions, to a relatively low success rate for companies or SMEs or any participant to get funded, because there are numerous clauses per technology. Now, thanks to Eureka and our clusters program, we are working in a transnational program following national priorities. That means we have the advantage of international cooperation while we are supporting the countries in their national priorities. And this is important because this helps, how to say, to have a large SRIA as base. Some countries indicate their national priorities because they want to develop this and that from the industry, and they see a good way with public funding at national level to do so, but they want also to cooperate with the other countries. But they want to be able to tell what they want to see as a project. In the Commission programs, once they have contributed to the financing of the call or the overall program, they don't have that level of control on which project will be taken or not. So their national priorities are more easily followed with the Eureka program, and then the clusters program, if we go to the clusters. So if you look at, of course, the ICT domain and specifically communication, sorry, I'm back to this slide. On the commissions level, you have CGSNS, the SNSIs, for example, and also the European Space Agency looking at the non-terrestrial networks research and development. So since 2003, we have been focusing on the next generation communications for the digital society since the beginning, 20 years ago, 22 years ago. We have built in the meantime a community of more than 1,250 private and public entities, including industry leaders, very large companies, well-known companies, SMEs, successful SMEs, and research institutions, and also academia. We organize biannual project calls, so spring and autumn. So we speak today about the autumn call and larger flagship calls. I will not speak today about this because that's not the focus of the current session, but we are doing larger projects. I will possibly come back to that when we will discuss what is a spring or autumn call project, what we expect from there, and I will possibly spend some words about the difference with a flagship project. It is supported by public and private funding for transnational R&D and I cooperation, and it is open to any organization contributing to the European / global ICT research initiative. So you have to understand that Eureka started with Europe and it has extended beyond Europe, and it is more and more growing outside of Europe. The mission and vision of CELTIC-NEXT is to foster Eureka collaborative ND&I program for the ICT community, accelerate the deployment and uptake of advanced ICT services, and we are really looking at end-to-end services, employ the new network concepts of 5G and beyond, and lead the innovation, ownership, and implementation of 6G in the Eureka countries. Some achievements since 2003. As you see, we have been able to support 194 projects. There are now some others that have been now approved for label and will start in the coming months, coming in addition to those ones. More than 1.3 billion euro joint investment, lots of project person years were financed with this program. 1,250 plus companies in 43 countries all over the network, 750 patents and more directly generated from those projects, and a good participation, strong participation from SMEs, knowing that for SMEs, some of the programs at international levels, including the Commission's ones, are difficult because there's a kind of barrier to entry that are difficult to pass or cross for the SMEs, except if they know large enterprises that can invite them. 1,600 products and services on the market, and so on. So there are lots of work that has been done, and it is really a successful program. So last year in July, around that time, we had our 21st anniversary together with the launch of a German and Canadian presidentship of Eureka. It was a great year in the meantime because we worked on the renewal of the license of the clusters in plural, not only us. And it has been a successful work because we got all renewed in June this year for the next 7 years. That's exactly what is here. We can really fire that because we have now the authorization to work from the 1st of July this year until the 30th of June 2032. Of course, there will be a process of renewal. It will not stop there, but we are assured for the next 7 years. Now, what we do, we manage an international quality label. So it's important to understand that point because we are not distributing money. Okay, we are not the funding agency. We are organizing the competitions. We are discussing with the public authorities. We are getting them around the table. We are providing the tooling, and we'll come in more details to that, but we are not providing the money. We are providing a label that helps then in the national funding schemes applications to get more easily selected at the national level in all the countries where an international consortium has applied. So we organize bottom-up calls. So in spring and autumn. Why bottom-up? It's because we open the entire SRIA, and any project that has a link with our SRIA and provides the right KPIs in terms of innovation, impact, and so on, has a good chance to get the label and then to get funded nationally. We organize also those so-called flagships with open calls, and Eureka ECP joint calls are calls where 2 or more clusters are joining efforts to open a call on a joint topic. So they were about AI, sustainability, and we are currently discussing what next could be a joint call between the clusters. What we offer, and this is a generic slide from all clusters because we share that between the clusters. So we provide opportunities to fund transnational R&D and I consortia. We provide access to the best companies and knowledge institutes in each of our fields. Projects initiated by industry in line with national priorities, global and trusted cooperation in the communities, and support of experts with an industrial viewpoint. So if you are looking to collaborate on an international and industry-driven R&D and I project that covers the whole value chain, so you are correctly by us. Okay, so services and fees. It's important to mention that at this point because we are organizing those calls, providing also those events and proposals brokerage days. I will come back to that at least twice a year. We organize the calls for project proposals, the proposals evaluations with our experts, the labeling of those projects, and the project review. So once a project has started, there is a midterm review and a final term review. If a project is around 3 years, and there is an annual review if a project is longer than 3 years, we provide all professional guidance, coaching, and mentoring to proposers, to project leaders on projects when they are financed and they run, and all the interested communities. The office provides a flexible project coaching process where participants can adapt their project plan, consortium, and other aspects agilely using CELTIC-NEXT project change request mechanism. This enables consortia to adapt to internal and external circumstances, meaning that unlike some other programs where you have to exactly do what you promised to do at the beginning, if you encounter force majeure, if you encounter the defection of one partner, or if there's a change in technology, or you want to add something to your project and so on, we are completely flexible about this. Of course, it has to be approved by all participants on the side of the consortium. Our experts will review your change request, and the public authorities will have also to say yes to it if it touches anything that was agreed with them originally. Once everyone is okay, we can approve your change request and your project can continue based on the new paradigm. So finally, we provide a panel of IT tools for project management, collaboration, and dissemination. So that means that we have the tooling for we have our website, but we have a tooling for the call management. And once your project starts, you can manage your projects through our platform. And there's this PCR, so project change request mechanism, which is integrated. And we provide also services, for example, like hosting your workspace for the consortium and so on. This is all integrated in the fees, and I will explain what are the fees. After I explain you this, for example, why our expertise and our experts are important also during the life of your project, not just by the evaluation of your proposal to get the label, but they are also there during the lifetime of your project. So we do this so-called midterm review and final term reviews. And our experts during the midterm review what you have already achieved at mid-time of your project. And if there are deviations compared with what has been agreed in the project plan, and not only the original version, but also the amended ones through the PCRs, we give you indications on how you can make it better and make sure that you will be successful at the end of the project. And you see, for example, this is a statistic that we have run. There were at midterm review strong improvement needed for 5% of the projects. Improvement required for 17%. Some projects, so 46%, were assigned a good note at the midterm review, an excellent 32. And you see, after the midterm review and the recommendations from our experts, we became at the end of the project acceptable 6% only, good projects 45%, and excellent projects 49%. So the impact was visible. And this is we don't do just administrative management of the calls and projects, but we are looking at high quality expertise and recommendations for our experts and reviewers. That's important. To generate those services, run the calls, provide the experts, support the travel costs, run those events and support the cost of those events, do the marketing and dissemination in support to you, providing the IT tooling on hosting of data and so on. We have to be financed because we are a not-for-profit division of one of the core group members of the board of running the cluster, of the company running the cluster. We don't receive public money. We don't receive private money from the board companies. We are exclusively running based on costs that are recovered through the fees we draw from the projects that have been labeled and financed by the public authorities and are running. So it's 1.5% of the eligible budget. So there's a page on our website called fees. And if you click on this one, you will have a detailed explanation why we need to draw those fees and what they are for and what they are covering and to whom they apply. They apply to all participants, being funded, not funded, and so on, because we consider that everyone participating in the project draws the same capacity from the office and the same from the experts and so on. So it's not linked to the funding itself. It's linked to the usage of the services of this competition and what we provide with the office. And it's 1.5% of the eligible budget. We made this decision in the core, in the board, because if we would just do it on what is on the funding, a university which is 100% funded would pay more than an industry partner who is not that high level funded. And this would not be the logic of an industry-led cluster and program. So if there are more questions about it, first go to the page, and if it's still not clear, please contact us at office@celtic-next.eu. So we are running the competition, and we are providing a roadmap. So we call this roadmap mission, vision, and roadmap. The current version is 2021-2025. It will be soon updated, but for this call, you can refer to this one. How this SRIA is built, it's built based on our core group members. So you can see Nokia, Ericsson, but also operators, IMEC, for example, who is a research technology organization. We are getting the content of the roadmap from this board, but also from our overall community. So any contribution is welcomed in terms of topics, but also possibly content. And we are in the process of editing the SRIA, so to provide the next one for 2026 upwards. So if you are looking at contributing to Celtic in this way, we are very happy to welcome your suggestions. So this document is downloadable from our website. We don't elaborate it in isolation. So you have those companies who are participating. You have our company, our community, but we are considering that collaboration and complementarity are vital. Assets, innovation drives progress, and impact is our measure of success. So therefore, we don't work in isolation, because in the ICT domain, it's not possible to work in isolation. You cannot develop something in your corner hoping that the world will take it. So we are working together with two major, let's say, contributors to this domain, the CELTIC-IA. So we have an MOU with CELTIC-IA, and we have also an MOI, so intent, with ESA, so that we work together. So we exchange information, we do cost contributions to our SRIAs, respective SRIAs. We are leveraging funding schemes across the different TRL levels and topics. We are looking at timing alignment, even if it's a complex exercise currently with SNHDU. We are trying to have an easier pipelining of proposals, and we try to move technologies from research to market, because we are complementary on the terms of funding the different tail levels. We are looking at early adopters, test beds, and so on. Also, we are looking at trying to build something around test beds, but that's another topic. And we are offering innovative entities the full panel between the top-down programs and the bottom-up spaces with their collaborative projects. So we are really trying to be one brick in the entire, let's say, construction of this domain. So we have this SRIA, and this SRIA, it can be resumed like that. So you have a CELTIC-NEXT industrial core group, where you see those companies. You have a Celtic project research areas. Only some topics are listed here, of course, for the sake of displaying some of them. So sorry, I had to mute someone. You have the European programs and national priorities. So that's the very nice point here. So we both, with our MOUs, can benefit from what is done in the other programs. And we have the national priorities at hand as well through the Eureka network. And we try to combine that into a good SRIA and mission vision and roadmap document. So again, this will be updated until the end of this year for an execution starting 2026. So most probably the spring call 2026. So just one moment here. So our DNA is bottom up. As said, you are free to define your project proposal according to your own research interests. Even if your topic of interest is not directly mentioned in the SRIA, don't hesitate to propose it to us with a good justification why it is becoming important or has become important, and we will of course consider it. Close to market, so far projects have led more to more than 1,500 new and improved products and services. Time to market in our definition means that we look at projects that are something like 3 years long, and then within the 3 years after the end of a project, they have a good potential of commercialization of what has been developed in parts or the full solution that has been developed in this project, so that we are really starting with TRL 3.4 in the project, moving to 6.7 during the project lifetime, and then within 3 years going to a TRL 9 and a commercialization. This is what we are looking at. This is what we have as a mission. We have a high success rate, so if you make a good high quality proposal, you have a chance of receiving funding with an average success rate of 60%. But it has to be high quality. Flexibility, the project focus can be adjusted to new technology developments in the field, but also because of impairments, like a partner goes bankrupt or and so on. So there's no issue with that. We will help you even to find new partners and so on. So, and it's for your success. I won't go reading all of that, whereby I could give some highlights. You will get here the award of a globally recognized label. So also successful projects can get awards through Eureka and through CELTIC, so both levels. And this is something that you can use for the promotion of your company or your products or your research entity and so on. You get professional coaching and mentoring. There's an easy access for SMEs, so no big barrier to access to the program. You access to SMEs for large industry and vice versa. So meaning it's a good playground to let SMEs, startup SMEs and large industry players to meet and collaborate and get to know each other. That's really what happens in those projects in CELTIC. You get an access to partners from more than 45 countries. And access to national funding while having international co-innovation. So that's the point. So if you are in a national program, you get only national consortium if it's a pure national competition. If you are at the commissions level, it's difficult for you to access if you are not a big name like Nokia, Ericsson, and so on, because there are many things you need to do, and it's relatively difficult if you don't know already those big companies. We are in the middle, so we bring the two worlds together, and we are not prescribing one project in this topic of the roadmap, which makes there's no numerous clauses per topic. We can even have 2-3 projects addressing the same topic of the roadmap with a different way, or different countries, and this is a good chance for you also to succeed in getting funded and run your project. So it's access to national funding, yes said, and transnational R&D and I cooperation. Expectable benefits derived, of course, from that is also this flexible project coaching. So I mean, from that point of view, it's something that is continuous. So we have project officers. I'm one of them, acting as a project officer. My colleague Christiane Rein, she's also providing this service through the office. So we are helping you in any change of your project, helping you to find solutions. So for example, one country is not funding, you need another country, we can help in finding another country and part of your consortium that can join your consortium to continue. Your opportunities are to immerse yourself in a project that is looking from the ecosystem point of view at the entire value chain. So I will come back to that, and collaborate with all kinds of entities. And you can be the leading party, or be part of an industry-led project, and so on. So I won't get to the rest of these, but this is quite obvious. So we are also through the Eureka network, and thanks to the Eureka network and countries, providing the opportunity to collaborate globally. So that means for European countries, you can collaborate with outside of Europe countries. So it can be with North America, Canada, or with the South of America. The latest add to the family is Brazil. That's why I've listed it not in, let's say, alphabetic order, because the last one who just joined this, This year is Brazil. The network is growing and your opportunities are growing at the same time. So if we look at the autumn call itself, those countries that are listed here have committed to support the call. Chile is also supporting this call, and some other country may also assist, but on a case-by-case basis. So I will come back to that as well, but always the first step that you need to do when you are building your consortium is you have to contact every public authorities where your consortium will be present, so that they can give you their latest level of support and also their information about the latest let's say, national funding scheme that will be used for you to apply nationally once you get the label, or you can even start before the label. That's another possibility. So contact details are available on our website. Now, call process and timelines. So we offer 2 bottom-up calls per year. And there's a spring and an autumn call. Here you have the dates for the autumn call. So opening now, the launch event today. There will be a proposers brokerage day on the 11th of September 2025, normally in Aveiro in Portugal. There's a deadline for the proposals on the 24th of October. And the label notification after an assessment period of around 6 to 7 weeks will be done in December 2025. So if you have questions about the process itself in details, you can go to our website, and on this diagram, each time you click on one of the boxes, you have an additional explanation and redirection links to the corresponding information. So as said, this is the timeline with a targeted project start in March 2026, but this is, let's say, optimistic because you need also to apply at national level, and depending on the countries where you apply, they have different agendas and timelines. So in case of everything aligns well, you could start in March 2026, but you have to, and again, contact the public authorities before the project submission. You have the contact points listed on our website. If you don't find, or if you don't get the contact, then you can contact us and we will provide you more support. They help you to avoid mistakes in your proposals and improve your chance to get the label aligning with the national priorities and schemes. To be noted, there are some countries where the national applicants have to build kind of national sub-consortium to apply in the country. So this kind of information is available when you contact those public authorities in advance, so that you can integrate that information in your international proposal to CELTIC. So that's important because, for example, this is what happens in Sweden, for example. By the way, Sweden, as you have seen, is not on the list of countries supporting the call for autumn, because they support only the call in spring. So that's why they are not on the list. So please don't apply for a Swedish participant here. Wait for the spring call, because the autumn call is not supported. So we have then, once you have done that, you can prepare your proposal. And what do we expect as a size of a proposal? So we are looking typically for bottom-up call projects. So from spring and autumn calls, we are looking at 4 to 15 participants. This is typical. The type of participants: large industry, SMEs, RTOs, or research type organizations, academia, public bodies. It has to be industry-led. So best is if a large industry player or an SME is leading the project. An RTO can also lead the project, or it is also possible to have academia, but this is more an exception than the rule. Number of countries from 3 to 7. So there is a strict rule in Eureka, valid for all, let's say, programs that have multiple partners in multiple countries. You have to have at least two Eureka countries from the Eureka network participating in the proposal and supporting the proposal. So if you put two only and one of them is not ready to support your project, you land with one country only, which is then, of course, stopping your project proposal. So therefore, we recommend to go with three as a minimum, so that in case of a desistment of one country, you still have two from the network. It's recommended. You can have also the question, can I have other countries than those ones from the national or nations that are part of the network of Eureka? Yes, you can, but the rule stays. You still have to have minimum two countries funding your project, which means if you want to integrate a country which is not in the network, and which is acceptable for the network, you need at least three from the network plus one that you want to add, or two or three, depending, but this is not rare, never seen before, but at least one country is possible, and we have seen that several times. So you would start with 4 countries if you integrate a country that is not in the network. I hope this is clear. What we look at in the content, we look at market and technology value chains. That means we are expecting a full end-to-end technology value chain to demonstrate the full end-to-end services. This is really a characteristic of CELTIC. We want to see an end-to-end service running with a project. We want to have a full market value chain representative partners on board to demonstrate the market impact relevance. So if you are targeting, for example, to mix ICT technologies with the health sector, and this is something which will be used, for example, by an hospital as an end customer in B2B meaning, it's really recommended to have an hospital in the consortium. Not just speaking with an hospital, but having the hospital in the consortium. So we recently closed one project that had this kind of target. And we noticed that, how to say, the market impact was a little bit weaker than expected, because instead of having the, let's say, hospitals directly in the consortium, they had a survey with hospitals asking them what they would like and so on, and it's not the same. So really, we recommend to have the end customers of your end-to-end value chain in the project and not just consulted through, for example, surveys or something like that. Budget and duration. Budget is based on costs and eligible cost, and this is 3 to 15 million typical for CELTIC, and the duration of the project 24 to 48 months, 36 is typical. Now, as usual, proposals that address any or several of the topics of the CELTIC strategy roadmap are welcomed. So this is how our, let's say, roadmap is represented. You have fundamental technologies, or not really fundamental, but basic technologies that are supporting all the services. This is not an exhaustive list here. And then you have fields of application that are supported by those technologies and your project. So this is, again, not exhaustive. It's just a kind of representation and sample of our roadmap, so you can get to the roadmap. But you are also encouraged to also propose new things if you don't find them here, and that they are relevant for the market and that there are new technologies supporting innovation. that's the high level, let's say, fields of applications that were defined in 2021 for the period of 2021-2025, still applying. But again, since we are reviewing the SRIA, you can come with additional ideas there. So we were looking at human-centered technologies and services for an augmented life experience, full industrial digitization and support of vertical industries, and futuristic use cases like holographic teleportation or world real-time synchronous digital twin, for example. So these are the high-level fields of applications that were defined for the current roadmap, but you can come with additional ones. Then we had main technical areas of research like ubiquity, pervasiveness, of communications services, dynamic capacity following people seamless mobility. For example, here in crisis, pandemics, major climate events, and so on. Automation, reliability, transparency, cognitive operations, protection and trust, holographic transportation, and those real-time high-level services drawn now in technical areas of research. And then I won't read all of that, of course, but these are the enabling technologies that have to be mastered and further developed and experimented and so on. So you have a large bunch of technologies here, and these lists will also evolve with a new roadmap. Most of them will stay, of course, because they are still either in early steps or development. And still, since we are near to market, some of them were in 2021 very much at a research level, but they are progressively coming to the market. So we are supporting those ones still now, of course, because this is where they are becoming commercial services or supporting commercial services. So this is the SRIA, but we have also inputs coming from our public authorities representatives, because different countries have different targets and they want to be, let's say, leading in some of those technologies. So what we collected in the last period are requests to support digitalization of the economy thanks to ICT. So that's a very high level one. But it covers quite a lot of good topics for projects: clean growth and sustainability, remote health and care, ICT for Industry 4.0 and becoming 5.0 industry and logistics, consumer IoT and industry IoT, which is very much connected to the previous one, of course, ICT technologies for metaverses, how to best support metaverses. And when we speak about metaverse here, it's not just metaverse from Meta, for example, it's really metaverse for industry. Private networks, including industrial and leisure private networks, critical communications for emergency and rescue services, non-terrestrial networks and terrestrial networks, convergence, including also the interoperability with unmanned objects management and these different topics. I recommend you, for example, to go to our website and have a look to SIGG Sky project. This is very well describing what is this topic. Critical resilient infrastructures and cybersecurity, Open RAN, AI RAN, edge computing, and so on in this domain. AI support to ICT networks, but also ICT and network support to AI applications, because both are interconnected and both can benefit from the other. And finally, 5G advanced and 6G topics like sensing, location, cloud continuum, core evolution, and so on. So proposals that address any of those topics and of the strategic roadmap, and those topics are welcomed. And if it's something that is not listed and not listed in our current roadmap, please don't hesitate. You can even contact us in advance and ask us if that would be a relevant topic, because there's no document about the new roadmap, but we are already discussing it. So we could already tell you if it's part of the new one. So conclusion of this first presentation. you can join, and you are encouraged to join the CELTIC-NEXT community and apply for transnational funding. You get a recognized international label for your innovations. You are not restricted to specific limits for your innovation projects. You really come up with your ID in a bottom-up way. You get a larger visibility for collaboration from large companies, SMEs, RTOs, academia, and so on. For academic, it's also very interesting to make a transfer of knowledge towards the industry, gain commercialization channels. So also important, we always ask in the proposals to describe how you want to access the market per participant and as a consortium. You can accelerate your time to market by increasing your TL level through a good market funding scheme, and collaborate easily outside of Europe, which is also very good and very used. We have even projects where no European country is involved, but just between the other countries outside of Europe. Okay, so thank you for your attention for this first presentation. Just some pre-warning: the proposals brokerage day will be on the 11th of September. The current, let's say, destination is Aveiro in Portugal, but it's still to be fully confirmed. But we are looking at an on-site event in Aveiro. And the deadline of proposals is on 20th of October, so that you have some time to add new partners to your proposal based on your discussions at this event. So then we have how it works. This usually this kind of event, you have a conference part, a pitching session part, and a brokerage and networking forum moment in the day. You can, by clicking on the link in the presentation or go on our website, get a first view on the program, and you can register. And this is the information. So Aveiro is a beautiful place with a very good participant to CELTIC, Instituto de Telecomunicaciones. Sorry for the pronunciation. We have been in several very good projects in CELTIC, and Portugal is a very good participant to CELTIC. So that's for this presentation. We will do the Q&A session at the end of the two presentations to make sure that we have gone to all of the presentations and topics before we go to Q&As. Sorry for if you have to wait until we have finished this one as well. Now I will speak about the proposal preparation and the brokerage of your ideas. So for the autumn call, open until the 24th of October. So what shall a successful proposal target? You have some basics. First of all, targeting the scope of CELTIC-NEXT roadmap, as I just explained, and the PA's topics that are listed in the over slide of the previous presentation. But you can again come with additional ideas if you think that it should be supported. You have to do technological innovation. It has to be new, innovative, forward-bringing projects for the community. And the community is not just the community of our topic, but also the community in terms of society. It has to have a market relevance and exploitation potential. It must return value for money to the consortium and to the funding countries. So public authorities want to be sure that when they invest public money, it returns a benefit for the country, the society, the people, and the economy. So that's very important to be able to describe how you address the market, what is the exploitation potential, what is your commercialization plan after the project, when do you expect things to be on the market, and so on, based on what is done in your project. And then you have to follow the rules of the right mix and balance of participating countries and partners. As I said, for example, minimum 3 countries. You have to create a good consortium, balance different countries and company profiles, fulfilling the end-to-end value chains in both the market and the technology. And it is not a national project with some links abroad, but a true international balanced cooperation is ideally with no more than 60% and never over 75% of effort and or budget in one country only. It should not be a project where you have 80% in, I don't know, Germany and 20% in one or two other countries. It has to be balanced because this is how we think that there is really cooperation international and that there's a benefit for all countries and all participants. So targeting the scope, in fact, when you will do your proposal in the tooling, you will see that you will be asked to provide a list or select taxonomy items, major and secondary topics, because we have classified in the topics of the SRIA into in a list of topics, and you have to select those ones to address that are addressed in your proposal in the taxonomy. That's the word I was searching. Sorry. This has a two effect. The one is that we know just by reading this list what is your proposal about, but the more important point is that once the deadline of the call is passed and your proposal is in our tooling, we can then assign the right experts to assess your proposals based on what you have selected from the taxonomy and what is the level of knowledge in those taxonomy items from our experts. This is done by the tool. And the tool is providing a first list of experts that should review your proposal because they have declared being experts in your topics that you have indicated. And that's very important. So again, you have seen that in the previous slides. Now it has to be technological innovation. So it has to be innovation above the state of the art. And it is a key criterion in our evaluation. So the rationale for the project, why is the subject of the proposed project important? Which problems will be solved and which results will be generated and that are currently not available? You have to describe the state-of-the-art situation. You have to describe well and deeply enough the current technological situation, the current problems and the gaps, and indicate the improvements at technology level that you want to achieve. The technological innovation and strategic relevance, the strategic relevance and expected impact of your proposal on a per country perspective as well. Not only in the global picture, but also per country. What new businesses will be generated based on your work. So 50% of criticism from our experts during the proposal evaluation are related to the insufficient description of the state of the art. That's really the case. Don't come with a too light SOA. Anyway, either your proposal will be rejected or you will have 2 months to update it. Market relevance and exploitation potential. So you need to make a market analysis, technological value chain and added value of a collaboration. You have to describe the value chain with the right mix of partners in the consortium, the added value at the corporation level for the technology, and the added value of a corporation at the business level. Consortium and partner access to market, which is giving us a good indication if there's a chance really after the research, development and innovation work of a project that this work will not just fall in vertically into a rubbish bin, but will be really getting a path to the market and being commercialized. So these are key aspects to motivate the public authorities to fund your project. They have to report on their side about this. Clearly, an innovation agency providing funding to a project has to report about how this money, public money, was delivering an advantage to the state, being at the economical, societal, and so on level. So they have to report about this. Key points. This is taken from interviews, discussions we had with our participants and with our experts. So here, your CELTIC-NEXT project should be successful and beneficial, and it must be managed and controlled properly in order to achieve this. So you have to give confidence to the experts and the public funders that you will be in control of your project. So you have to give a good work plan. You have to give a good risk assessment and mitigation plan. You have to show that you will manage the project correctly. So it should be used as a tool to develop your business if the project scope is aligned with your strategies and future plans. However, it may take some time to reach commercial success. So provide a clear outlook on your commercialization plan per product, partner, and as a whole of the project. So thanks to that, you will get more security available. Number 2 on key points, the best practices that help to carry out the project activities properly are based on the commitment of the consortium from the beginning to the end of the project. You have to build a strong and committed consortium and show clearly its commitment in the proposal. Partners have to participate to the writing of the proposals. They have to show how they will be active in the different work packages and tasks and not just being listed there. You have to really provide a clear commitment, and this is to be also seen in the participation in the proposal. The success of the project relies on 3 actions: deliverables, dissemination, exploitation of the project activity. So write a good proposal, not only research, but also business impact, exploitation plan, dissemination, coordination, and work package structure. That's very important. All those aspects will be studied by our experts, and they will assess your project based on this. Be aware that there may be changes in the project, consortium, activities, funding, etc., that might affect the initial plans from the project description point, original project description. So you have to provide a well-described risk analysis section, risk and mitigation. Okay. These were the criteria of quality we were looking for. Now, of course, this is just a presentation. There is more to know, and you need more guidance. So before you contact the office with questions, we recommend you to go to this guides, contracts, and forms page that you can see here. And as a proposer, you can get already a good guidance by reading the proposal guidelines documents that are under the following links that are provided on this page. So proposal submission step by step. This is a page with links to the different documents, different tools, and so on to help you. And then you have 2 documents that you can get. There's a 8-pager proposals guide CELTIC-NEXT, and the other one is a more detailed one, which is with several chapters, so-called CELTIC-NEXT proposal management guide. So with that, you should be able already to manage well. If you still have some questions or there are some unclarity for you and so on, you can contact us at office@celticnext.eu. So these are, let's say, screenshots from the different pages. You will have, when you will enter your proposal, you will have 2 things to do. One is to enter some data in the tool, and the other one is to write a CPP, so a CELTIC project proposal, and this document has to be provided. I will declare not valid proposals that don't attach a correctly filled CPP document. It can be Word or it can be PDF. that's okay. But the content must be there and the file must be there. So I will automatically reject projects that don't provide that, and I will not, unlike the previous calls, give more time for the people to provide this file. Either it's there by the deadline or it's not there. I'm sorry to say that because we have too many people who are not doing the job on time, so I have to restrict now. Okay, so this is the same information. It's gone already anyway. So 24th of October is the deadline. So what you need to do at a high level is register on the clusters projects tool, which is the URL you can see, fill in the web forms, as I was saying, and download the proposal templates for your proposal, fill them in, and before the end date, upload them to the system. How it looks like, the submission interface, you register, and you see the call. The call is already online. You can see it, and you can just click on Submit New Proposal. And then you can identify project identification. Open call, of course, it's not 2023/1. You will see it's 2025/2. I didn't make a new screenshot. And then you have to provide key information. And again, so important, provide the CPP file filled in correctly. How we evaluate your proposal, it's important for you to know, because first it gives you confidence that we do it professionally, and the second point is it gives you also an hint about what you need to be very careful about and do particularly well in your proposal. So, evaluation criteria are excellence and technological innovation, strategic relevance and impact, we have seen those ones, potentials for exploitation of the results and for future business, that's your, let's say, market impact evaluation and so on, quality and efficiency of the implementation of the project proposals, your Gantt file, your work package, descriptions, tasks, milestones, and so on. So an important point, for example, you might not think immediately about it, but that's very important. You know, because I explained you this morning, this afternoon, sorry, already, we do an evaluation at midterm. So based on the dates of your project, or not on the dates, but on the duration of your project, at midterm, we need, of course, to have enough data to analyze, like deliverables, demos, experiments, and so on, that you achieved before the midterm review, so that we see that you have made good project. So don't put all deliverables at the end of a project, because it will be rejected, because we cannot assess at midterm, because we don't have anything to assess. So please put enough content of your project already for the midterm review. So, and don't put 1 month after the midterm review as well. So midterm review, it is up to you to define when it is, because it's a 24 months project. You could say, okay, we do in the 13th month, because we consider that we work half time, so 12 months or 18 months if it's a 36 months project. And then we make the assessment, the midterm review, in the months after we have reached the half of a project, which is a good way to do it. So foresee enough results like architecture design and so on for the midterm review. And then, of course, for the final term review. But midterm review is very important. So consider that you are assessed at midterm, and there must be matter to assess at midterm. So I put this in parentheses, but now we are then, based on those 5 main criteria, and most of our experts are from industry or were in the industry and moved to academia and so on, but they have a very good background knowledge in all those topics and also in the industry. They are assessing your project based on those criteria, and the end of the evaluation gives the following levels. Either you are not suitable for label, that means that you don't get the label, you have to reapply in the next call. Or you get suitable for label. That means that you did right from the beginning, or you get these M modifications required. So label with modifications, that is, it is called officially. And you have a provisory label, but you have to make modifications based on the request from our experts and the public authorities. You get 1 month to 2 months to do that, depending on the level of modifications we are requiring. And based on that, we reassess your new proposal based on the modifications you have made. And if we agree that you have complied with our request, then we give you the final full label, like the S suitable for label, if you were fully right from the beginning. So this gives you a second chance if some aspects were not well addressed, but are not redibitory for us to give you the label. So this means that for this call, for example, we will notify you around mid of December about the decision, and you would have from mid-December to mid-February to make the modifications before we give you the final full label, or we reject your proposal and you have to reapply in the call after, so 6 months after. Less than 6 months, because in the calendar, the overcall would have started. So this is how we do the rating and the recommendations for labeling. And then we have we have a meeting with the public authorities where we review every proposal together. We provide the opinion of our experts. The public authorities provide us as well their opinion and position about those proposals, and we decide together in a consensus way which project becomes the suitable for labeling, or the label, let's say, and that label with modifications or is rejected. Okay, this is the label decision, which is based on the technical quality, business relevance, and national priorities where they exist. So this is also used in the discussion. Now, to start the project, the Eureka projects, the funding is granted by ministries or funding agencies of the participating countries. Projects can usually start when mandatory partners have green light for funding. So we speak about a critical mass because since national funding schemes have not the same dates for decision making, so for applications and decision making, there might be some countries ready before other ones. So, and without waiting until every country has funded or decided to fund and assign funding contracts with the participants, the project can start if there is an agreement on the critical mass and that the minimum requirements are reached to start the project. And then the other countries can join. In the last years, the success rate from running projects for more than 50% has been achieved. And when a partner becomes active in the running project, he will pay the CELTIC contribution of 1.5% of his eligible budget. The label decision. So from the project submission to the label decision, there are 6 to 8 weeks in total, depending on the availability of the experts, of the public authorities and so on, but we try to stay within these 6 to 8 weeks. Now, in the preparation of your proposal, we can also assist you, and this is part of the services we provide in the CELTIC office. We have a brokerage tool where you can upload your project ID if you are ready to make it visible to other potential participants. You can share your expertise. So you can also write an expertise advertisement in the tool. And then, of course, the pendant of the 2 left services is the other service, which is you can search for partners to collaborate with, or you can look for existing project ideas you would be able to join, or you could join. So this is the link to the brokerage tool. It is looking like that. You can put a project ID. I will not spend too much time on all those details, but one important thing is you can select at the identity management level if your identity should be public or should be hidden, and then the platform will manage the contact. You can submit your expertise, as said, the same way. And you have to confirm, of course, that your profile and interests may be public and so on. And you have a CAPTCHA to verify that we are not spammed. All fields on the brokerage that have an asterisk are mandatory. The proposal keywords field is implemented using a taxonomy form field class, which allows easy update of a keyword list, but such as renaming, deletion of addition of keywords. Identity management field determines whether name, telephone, and company name are shown on the project ID overview list or such results. The type of organization and countries are always shown, and the mail address is never shown. After submission to the CELTIC office, we check and we will publish your project ID or expertise, or enter in contact with you to modify together what you have put there, because we have some experience with that, and we might find that you should rephrase things, for example. So we would contact you before we publish your either project ID or expertise. Partner search, something classical. Search project ID is the same. Okay, so I'm through this presentation. I stop sharing, and we can then open the floor for Q&As. So Audrey, I'm just looking if I see where I have a chat. Okay.
I think you have many thanks for the presentation, and I think you only have one question that I was not about to answer.
Mm-hmm.
But then also I will give you the other answer so you can give more complete answer.
Yeah.
The last one was thanks for information. Does CELTIC support underwater network communication, specifically multi-domain networks?
Yes. The answer is simple, yes.
Okay.
Even if it's not listed, we have seen some proposals, and we are happy to support this domain as well.
Correct. The previous one was any information on the proper Brokerage Day. I shared the link online, and you also shared the information. So it's available. People are free to register and ask if they have any question. The previous question was, does there have to be an R&D element to the project?
Yes, always. And this is one criteria that it cannot just be commercialization or marketing, or it has to be R&D. There must be innovation developed in the project. And if it has to be focused mainly on R&D and I. So if a project has only 10% of R&D in it, it will be also rejected. It has to be around R&D and I.
Many thanks. And then the previous question, sorry, was, does there have to be an R&D element to the project?
Yeah, this is what I just answered.
My bad. I realized the moment I finished.
But the previous one, is it possible to apply Eureka projects as a large company? Yes. So just to come back to the way that the funding will work. So again, we are not centralizing funding. So we are the CELTIC office itself does not distribute funding. We help in getting together those international calls, and we support with the public authorities discussions and so on. But the idea is that the program is assembling national funding into an international cooperation. That means that the national funding rules are applying. So if you are in a country where, so let's take I don't know, UK as an example. If you are in UK, large companies are funding by Innovate UK to a certain level of their expenses. There's match funding, and it's something like 30 or 40%, I don't remember exactly, depending on the size of the company, but the SMEs are getting more, for example, up to 60 or 70%. Academia is getting 80% of eligible costs or 100%, depending how you declare the cost. So national rules per country apply. So that means that if you have a consortium between Germany, UK and Finland, for example, the German partners will get funded according to the rules of the call in Germany, and the same in Finland, the same in UK. So there is no generic answer to your question because it depends where you are located. And there's another possibility for companies to attend. For example, if I take the example of France, in France you have a funding scheme called IDEMO, and IDEMO is supporting also large companies to a certain level. But there's another way for a French company, for example, to come into a CELTIC project if the conditions from IDEMO are not good. You have a CIR in Francois, the Crédit Impôt Recherche, that big companies are very often using, and the costs of the CELTIC project would be eligible for the CIR. So it's you are not asking for an additional funding from BPI in France, so BPI France. You are using your CIR and you come as officially self-funded in CELTIC. That means that you declare you don't get funding as an additional money, but on your side you declare the cost to your CIR report every year. So that's an example for large companies. But this is, again, national rules apply again and again. So this means that before you apply and you want to know where you go, you have to contact your public authority. All their contacts are on our website. And if you don't find them or you have difficulties to reach out to them, you can ask us to help you. They can give you the latest official information for the country and when the national calls will open, will close, when you best prepare your proposal for the national level, in which language, and so on. So they are there to help you on this. So
thank you. We had a lot of questions coming in the meantime.
Okay.
First one is, what is meant by balanced consortium? If it can go up to 60% from one country, how can it be balanced? And would it be risky to have a consortium with 50% from one country?
So 60% is the limit we would like to have, not the 75% because it's really high. 60% is acceptable still, which means one country has 60% and two countries, additional countries, have each 20%. This is sufficient. Ideally, it would be 40, 30, 30. That would be better. And it's not risky to have a consortium with 50% from one country. That's fine because it's under the 60% anyway. So it's not risky. It's better than the 60%. So what we want to avoid is that the countries and the participants in those countries who are not the lead country end up with feeling that they were just satellites in this project, not in the core of the project, working together really in a cooperative way. So, and it is difficult to achieve if you have over 75% in one country. There's also one rule that applies, that is that one participant cannot have more than those 75% in the project, because by default it would be then 75% in the country. And also we don't want to have one company working, for example, with only 2 other partners, but this one company is so large in the project that you are wondering what the other companies are doing really. So it's not balanced in that case.
Great. Next question is, I saw that research organization can only attend with subcontracting. How does the subcontracting for research organization work?
No, so that's not the case, because it's not a generic rule. Sorry. In some countries, research organizations are directly funded, and up to 100% even in some countries. But in other countries like Spain, or if I remember well, Portugal, I don't know if Rita is on the line. No, she's not here. Rita is the person from the ENI in Portugal. These countries allow RTOs and academia to be in the project only if they are subcontracted by an industry player, either an SME or a large industry player. But this is again depending on which country you consider. So national rules apply.
Then I saw very quickly 2 important questions. I saw, will the recording be shared? Yes, online. In the coming days. You can go back to the page and probably we will send you a notification. Then there were any option to participate virtually to the brokerage day?
We will see with the time, but we want to have a good attendance on site. So for now, it's not open for hybrid. I cannot completely reject it, but we really want people to come, and there's a good reason for that, is because the matching tables, the matching exercise, which is the third part of and also the pitching. The pitching session and the matchmaking part of the event, they are much better than when they are on site in person. Our experience with online versions of this is not that good. So that's why we encourage people to come in person. So I see also how critical is joining brokerage day for improving our chance of getting our proposal accepted. You don't need to look at it under that angle. What you need to consider for coming to the brokerage event is my consortium already full? Do I have all people I need to provide the end-to-end value chain, and in both in technology and market? If yes, it has a limited value for you to go there, except if you want to pitch and get more people, but you are already full. You have enough, let's say, not full, but enough participants to make a good proposal. Or the opposite, if you feel that you still need to get more people on board, more companies, more RTOs, more academics, and so on, so that your proposal reach a higher quality, because you really then fulfill the end-to-end value chain and the innovation step compared with the state of the art. For example, you have a consortium with SMEs that are happy to work together on bringing something to the market together by assembling their forces. But the innovative part is not that high because you are just combining things in order to make a product, which is already a combination of IoT together. So you might consider that you need still an RTO or an academic with good ideas to enhance your product, of the total product, of the different bricks of your future product or cooperation. And then, yes, it makes also sense to come to this event because you can pitch what you have already in mind, who you have already on board, and then find the complementary parties. So that's why this event is important. So, and then what has an impact on your proposal? It's not because you come that it is accepted. It is because you increase the quality of your proposal by adding the right people for the missing parts that you have in your proposal. I hope I answered the question with that.
I will say yes. I missed the question, sorry. Is the 1.5% fee itself an eligible project cost? And then there is a new question, right?
Okay, so the fee is eligible in some countries not. So, but you know, it's left pocket, right pocket. We have endless discussions sometimes with people in consortia, and you have to make the calculations also about this 1.5% fee, what it really means for your participation in the program. What is the cost versus what you gain? First of all, if you don't go for the project because you don't want to pay this fee, simply by principle, but you don't participate in the project. So you have to pay the fee to be in the project anyway. And there is work behind, as I explained, and you have more explanations on our website. Now, if you want to recover part of this fee from the public authorities, you have to ask them, because some countries accept it as an eligible cost, some other not. But okay. Even if you get it covered as an eligible cost, you recover a percentage of it, of the 1.5%, which is not that high as well. If I look at the IPR question, you will have to, once your project is labeled and is funded and you are looking to start it, you will have to sign together, and we are not involved in that in the terms, we are not co-signing that document, but you will have to sign a so-called PCA, Projects Consortium Agreement, which is a usual thing in R&D projects. And we provide a template for this, where we provide some hints on how the IPR, the existing IPR, the created IPR, and so on, can be ruled in the consortium. But this is purely the agreement of the consortium. We are not into that. We don't have any right on the IPR developed. We don't look for this. You have also to discuss possibly with the public authorities who are supporting you with funding, because they might have rules in their countries where when public money is invested in an D&I project, they might have some say on the IPR, depending on the country. So you have to ask them if you have to comply with any national rule. But usually it's not a big issue. We don't have disputes in CELTIC about this topic, really. Usually it is linked more to let's say a gentleman agreement between the parties. You need, of course, to discuss that point, IPR, that's very important, but we don't have disputes that much in CELTIC. I have never seen, but okay, I've been 4 years now in CELTIC. I haven't seen any dispute in the projects. And we provide a template, but you can adapt it. The only part you cannot adapt in the PCA template is the link with our, let's say, global framework in CELTIC, which relates to the CLA, which is the consortium level agreement, the CELTIC level agreement between the core group members, which is just referenced in this document, and the fact that all partners have to sign before the start of the project, and even some weeks after the application to CELTIC, a so-called CLD document, confirmation letter document, which is confirming that the partners are fine with the rules of the competition and with the fact that they will have to pay the fees if they are labeled and later on running the project. So that's the only part which is not modifiable in the PCA. The rest is up to the consortium.
Yeah, very good. I don't see any more questions, and I hope I haven't missed any. So if I did, please let us know now. If you have any, please unmute and let us know.
Yeah. So you can unmute and ask your question, or raise your hand first, possibly, and then you can. Okay. So if we don't
Javier,
get...
can I
okay.
ask a short
Yes.
question?
Yes, of course.
During the meeting, Audrey has already shared that, and you have also mentioned the proposers day will be in Aveiro, but you said it's not. I mean, it may change. You mean the date or time or
No,
place?
the fact that we do it in Aveiro, we are 90% sure it will be in Aveiro, but we are just waiting for one confirmation. And once we have this, we will confirm it on the website. It's just to secure that everything is okay with Aveiro. We have IT Aveiro is providing us the location, so we just need to get the final confirmation. But normally it will be in Aveiro.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So.
Okay. Then thank you. We have Antonio Leandro who raised his hand. Antonio, you are muted.
Okay. Are you listen now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, good afternoon. I'm from IT in Aveiro, so everything is confirmed. So it's
okay. I just waited for Christiane, my colleague, to tell me if everything was settled. So, but if you confirm already, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
So there was another person raising, Valentin Kachaturian.
Hello, and thanks for the presentation. So we were wondering whether the 1.5% fee is paid upfront or is it a success fee?
No. If you go to the web page about the fees on our website, you will see there's a mechanism which is following the project. So that means we draw the fee twice a year. So it's evaluated for 1 year. We take, after 6 months, we take the first time. And at the time of taking that first time, we say also to the project lead to update the project information if there is a change that is foreseen for the future. So if there's a budget that has been reduced or there's a budget that has been moved in the future or something like that. And then at the end of the year, we do the second drawing of the fees for the current year by looking at the modified information, and we just subtract what has been paid in the first 6 months to make sure that we are never drawing fees over what it should be.
Which means we would only have to pay the fee if we had the budget.
If you have a budget or if you have started.
Yeah,
but if you are self-funded in the project, you have also to pay the fee. So meaning if you don't get funded, and you are declared self-funded because you stay in the project by interest to stay in the project, since you are getting the same services from us, you have to pay the same fee. That's the rule that the core group has defined.
Okay, clear.
Okay.
Thanks.
But you start paying the fee only when you start to be active in the project. So, for example, if you are delayed by your national authority to get their decision and things like that, or you have a role in the project just 1 year after the start of the project because it's too early for you to enter the project in the first year and so on, you are inactive in the system, you won't receive any invoice. Once you get active, and this is declared that the project lead in a change request, in the project change request mechanism, he sets, when he knows that the project is active or will be active at a certain date, he can set this project participant as active in the PCR. Once the PCR is accepted, your status changes in the tool from inactive to active or to inactive to self-funded. And based on that information, then you will receive the first invoice 6 months after you have started.
Very clear. Thank you.
Okay. So Antonio, with Valentin, you still have your hand raised. Do you have additional remarks or questions, or it's just because you forgot? Okay. Any other question?
One just pop up.
Okay. What about the PA support in Germany?
Yes.
Germany supports Celtic, and they will check your proposal, and if it's corresponding to their, let's say, needs and strategy and so on, they will possibly support you. This will be handled by VDI VDE, who is missioned by BMBFTR, so Bundesminister von Bundesforschung und Raum und so weiter. So that's the new name of BMBF. And Anna von Bülow, who is the contact point there, in VDI VDE, will discuss with you what could be the support for your project. So contact Anna von Bülow. She is listed in our website page of contacts, and she will tell you in advance what you can expect.